see my meat manager, and she's there with this baggie, and she's waving the baggie at my meat manager. And I'm like looking at Jeff like, I think I'm just going to deny her. I'm just going to tell her to go elsewhere. Like, this isn't somebody we want in our stores treating our employees this way. And Jeff just looked at me and goes, you're going to refund every single dollar of those steaks, and you're going to give her $400 in gift certificates. And I was like, all right. And Jeff comes up, and I remember him distinctly like standing in my office door, leaning up against kind of the side of it and looking at me and going, did you know that on average, a customer spends 20 years shopping at the same grocery store? And every single customer spends $7,500 a year on groceries, which means if you pissed that lady off, you would have cost me $150,000. On top of that, when somebody has a good experience, they tell up to 2 people. When somebody has a bad experience, they tell on average 12 people. So if you pissed that lady off, you would have cost me over $1.5 million. And he turned around and walked out of my office. I was like,
welcome, and thank you for joining us for today's episode of Disruptors, where millionaires are made. Today we have Carrell with LeadZolo, and Drew flew in from Toronto to talk about what not to do in a challenging market and how they're still growing to multiple 8 figures a year. Now, guys, I'm on a mission to create 100 millionaires. The information on the show alone is enough to help you become a millionaire in the next 5 to 7 years. If you'll take consistent action, you will become one. And guys, if you're already a millionaire, we want to recognize you here. So please scan the QR code so that we can actually acknowledge you here on the show. And if you want more help to become a millionaire even faster, also scan that QR code. And today's show is brought to you by Objection Proof AI. If you're ready to turn your existing sales team into a self-managing sales team, make sure you go to objectionproof.ai. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right. So you were here about a year and a half ago.
Yep.
There's been some shifts, some changes.
Things are always happening.
Things are always happening. Things are going on. And so when we were at Boardroom, where I got to, we got to spend some time together, it was about June of last year.
Wow.
Was it really? It was like right after you were on the show.
Yeah.
And at that time, you guys were like playing with this idea. Hey, what if we add some changes, made some adjustments? What's been going on in the last year and a half with LeadZolo?
Yeah. So it's been interesting, right? All business is interesting. Yeah. It all starts with an idea, and then that idea grows, and then you reach a mountaintop. And as the saying goes, when you get to the top of that mountain, you realize there's a bigger one behind it. So we were, I think last time when I was on here, we were definitely we were hockey stick growth. We were crushing it. We were having an awesome time. And yeah, a lot of things were happening kind of at the time. Compliance was happening, one-to-one consent. And we were also, it seemed to us that we were kind of hitting the top of our market cap of how many investors we could really serve. So it was kind of, we were cresting the hill, I would say at that time. And so it was an exciting moment, but it was the start of some serious growth. We had to reflect, we had to look and see what were the next steps, right? Yeah. Businesses, 0 to 1 is really, really hard. But when you catch fire, it gets pretty exciting.
Very exciting.
But 1 to 2 is really, really hard, right? And so that's kind of where we've come into. And so that's kind of what we're navigating now.
What do you mean 1 to 2?
So as in 0 to 1 being startup phase, getting to, whatever it might be, a few $1 million a month. Or a couple $1 million a month, and what's the next phase? The next phase is how do you get to $50 million a year or $100 million a year? And that's what we've learned, right? We had a lot of fun in the startup phase, kind of caught fire, great industry. We had a good model. We obviously have some competition, which is really good, right? Iron sharpens iron, gave us some ideas of where to navigate. And then, we caught up real quick. And then it's just well, that's, nothing feels like success. Not that we failed, but it got hard.
Yeah.
So,
well, I know part of the success too was that Kyle, right, the founder, I believe.
Yeah, him and I.
Was already a YouTube marketing genius.
Correct.
And so we leveraged that to grow LeadZolo.
Absolutely.
Now are we at a point where we're growing past his previous genius zone?
Correct.
So that's got to be interesting.
Yeah. So it is interesting because that's where it capped, right? And with the model where we're at, with the priority system or the bid system, we're serving middle packed investors, right? We're serving people who have operations together and they're looking to start to scale. Well, it sounds all great let's get 3,000 investors on here bidding on all these counties, and we can run nationwide YouTube ads, or we obviously incorporated Meta to try and compensate and whatnot. But there's only so many leads in the world. There's only so many people trying to sell their homes, let alone motivated enough to sell their homes for less than retail.
Right.
So that's definitely where we ran into. So yeah, it doesn't matter how much of a genius you are on an ad platform. You have to realize there's so many investors and there's so many humans selling their properties. And if you really kind of want to dig down into that, there's only so many investors at the perfect stage in their business that we could serve with that model. Yeah. And so that was where we had to start thinking, like, cost per acquisition started going through the roof. We didn't know how to to bring an investor onto our platform. Got very, very expensive because there's only so many of them. And then for us, it was like, well, then how do we increase the LTV, the lifetime value of them? How do we get them to spend more and buy more leads? And so then the obvious answer is generate more leads.
Right.
Well, that became quite hard. And
this is for me, and I've said this before, so I mean, it wouldn't be weird for me to say to you here, right? Like the biggest fear or biggest challenge really for a PPL provider is there's only so much supply.
100%.
And so then when you have so much demand, you kind of have this ethical quandary.
Yep.
Like, do I just give them more leads knowing I'm diluting the product? Or do we just hold the line and then we just settle for less revenue, less profit, and stagnant growth?
Exactly. Yeah. So what do you do? Right? That's the question. And
at that point you're stuck, but you actually made a decision and went in a direction. Yeah.
So there's two stories that come to mind, and I'll tell this, and then I'll talk about how we kind of solve that and where we're going.
Yeah.
The first, we talked about this before. I grew up in the back of a grocery store. I remember when I was like 27 years old, I was a store manager. Grocery stores operate on like a 3% net, right? Like every dollar counts. When you see like a kid eating a grape walking through your store, you're just like, I just want to take the grape out of the kid's hand, Check
them like it's hot.
Oh, man. So
only in Toronto.
Only in Toronto, yeah. It's fine there. It's legal. So it's tough, right? It's super tough. Numbers are tough. And I remember it was, I think it was May long weekend. So it was kind of like cottages opening up and stuff. And our loss leader for that week was strip loin steaks. And loss leader is also tough, right? You don't want to sell too much of that because that's a product that you've bought and you're selling for less than you paid for, hoping that they're going to buy the bananas and grapes while they're in there.
Right.
So we have the lady come in, and I'm like kind of standing a little ways away, and I can see she's talking to my meat manager over the counter, and she's hands are in the air, and you can just kind of tell she's one of those, right? It's like, all right. And then I see the manager waves me over because you had to have an override on the scale because anything over $200, you have to have a manager override. So I went over, and it was a $400 order of these steaks.
Oh, the ones that you didn't want to sell too much of.
Exactly. And we have a limit on them. You can only buy $100 worth of them. And she's like, well, what do you want? And I brought up the limit. And she's like, well, what do you want me to do? Like, do you want me to bring my kids in and each of us buy a pack? And I was like, whatever, it's fine. Buy them. So she left. And 2 days later, it's the Monday after the holiday weekend. And we're walking through the store, and the CEO is down of the company and doing a tour like they normally do. And we're walking through, and he's with me, and we're kind of coming around the back corner of the produce department. And I can see the meat department, and I can see her, and she's there, and I can see my meat manager, and she's there with this baggie, and she's waving the baggie at my meat manager. And I was like, what? Like a sandwich bag.
Okay.
And I had a hunk of meat in it. And so I go back there, and she's like losing her mind that all of the steaks were tough, and she ruined her barbecue, and she was so upset, and she wanted a refund. And I was mad. And I was just like, this lady, like, I knew when she came in, she was giving the guys a hard time. Now she wants her money back. And I'm like kind of fuming a little bit. And Jeff, the CEO, is right beside me. And I'm like looking at Jeff like, I think I'm just going to deny her. I'm just going to tell her to go elsewhere. Like, this isn't somebody we want in our stores treating our employees this way, was my thought.
Agreed.
And Jeff just looked at me and goes, you're going to refund every single dollar of those steaks, and you're going to give her $400 in gift certificates. And I was like, all right. So I did that. And at that point, they moved on with the tour. And like, I was kind of like not with the C-suite at that point, right? So I go up to my office, and it was about an hour later, and they're all leaving. The CEO and everybody's going to leave. And Jeff comes up, and I remember him distinctly like standing in my office door, leaning up against kind of the side of it and looking at me and going, did you know that on average, a customer spends 20 years shopping at the same grocery store? And every single customer spends $7,500, $7,500 a year on groceries, which means if you pissed that lady off, you would have cost me $150,000. On top of that, when somebody has a good experience, they tell up to 2 people. When somebody has a bad experience, they tell on average 12 people. So if you pissed that lady off, you would have cost me over $1.5 million. And he turned around and walked out of my office. I was like, what the hell, right? Like it was super interesting to me. And because I didn't think about things like that.
No.
I thought about my meat manager's not going to hit his bonus that week. My store, he's going to be pissed off. I'm going to be pissed off. We're not going to hit our numbers. And what I wasn't thinking about was the longevity of the business. I wasn't thinking about the lifetime value of the business. I wasn't thinking about how much he was willing to pay and tolerate to hold on to that customer, knowing that that customer is going to be worth $150,000 to him over the next 20 years, let alone everybody else that she was going to talk about. And so to loop that back to what we were talking about with our cost per acquisition going up to try and get more investors onto the platform, the question, we really had to look at each other, me and Kyle and Cody, and go, well, what do we need to do here? Do we need to have like this highly lubricated funnel to like sell everybody a hope and a dream to get them to come in and buy leads and have a bad experience? Because that's not what we want. We want good investors who know what to do with leads. So the option isn't to try and reduce our cost per acquisition. The option is for us at that time was, how do we open this up and allow other segments of the industry in, effectively increasing our LTV in kind of an indirect way. So how do we now bring in somebody who doesn't have their stuff together, who only has a few $100s, but they just came out of a sales training with you or RJ or somebody else, and they just want their first few leads.
RJ doesn't offer sales training.
I'm sorry. Yeah, my bad. To help them get their first assignment fee. And then once they get their first assignment fee, they can ascend into our bidding platform. And so that's what we did. And what also happened there was we had to turn a cost to us into a profit center. And so for us, one of our biggest costs are overflow leads. At the end of the day, we have so many investors buying leads, and we're producing so many leads, but there's leads that fall through the cracks. There's leads that come in areas we can't sell them. And so that's when we came up with Marketplace. And Marketplace was just a place for all of our overflow leads to go onto. It was a reverse auction. So they would like land at $150. They would reduce price every hour, kind of allowing it to come down to like $35. So beginner investors can come on and grab some leads.
This is like produce that starts to expire.
100%. Yeah.
It's just sitting there on the shelf, getting stale, and you got to throw it out.
It's even better.
Spoilage.
Yeah. Spoilage or shrink, they call it. What's even better about that, here's a real ninja hack. You have like a cantaloupe or something, it's spoiling, it's going to go in the garbage. You take it to the back room, you cut it up, you put it in a container, and you triple the price of it and go sell it again. Like that's what grocery stores are doing, right? They're taking the ripe fruit, because typically when it gets too ripe, you don't want to buy it. So they're finding the ripe fruit, they're cutting it up in the back, and they bring it out, and that's the container on the side. That's 3 times as much. That's the guy.
That's the ones I'm going to buy.
So they're turning a cost into a profit.
There you go. All right. So I didn't know that. Makes total sense. Yeah. So then you kind of did that with
absolutely
Marketplace.
And that's, we were talking before about like the biggest mistakes entrepreneurs kind of do during tough times, during tough markets.
Hang on, before we get into all that, right? So I think you had this crossroads, and it's interesting you talk about this like lifetime value, and you talk about like the rude lady with the manager, right? Because like I completely understand where the CEO is coming from.
Absolutely.
And I can understand also like you guys have embraced the same thing, right? Like how do we like maximize lifetime value? But for me, I still like tell the lady to take a long walk.
Sure.
And get out of here. And this is really more for me. I just want to say like a debate, right? As far as like, what is the appropriate amount of service?
Yes.
And I say this as a person with service being one of our 5 core values. Right? Like we always want our clients to feel good. But also, we've got boundaries.
Yes.
Right? And you could be rude to me. Like you've seen Closers Olympics. People can be mean to me. I don't care. It doesn't bother me, right? But the moment you're rude to someone on my team, we're going to have a problem. And when I say we're going to have a problem, it means like we're done. Right? Like unless you like apologize directly to my team member and they accept it. we're done. And I say this because this is a lesson I learned, Darren Hardy, I've mentioned his name many times before during the podcast. Like, he cites, Southwest Airlines, he cites Costco, Nordstrom's. They're all known for exceptional customer service, but they get the exceptional customer service because they treat their employees well.
Right.
And it's always the employees over the customers. It's always the employees over the customers.
Yeah.
Right. Because like we've worked at places or we've been to places where the customer is always right. And the morale is always crap at those places.
Yeah.
Right. Like, why would you want to work at a company where you're powerless? I can't even imagine working at a company where, I don't care that you're right and the customer is wrong.
Right.
You're going to go apologize to them.
It's really funny. The company I worked at, one of the sayings in the back room was, the customer's not always right, but it's not our job to tell them that.
Yeah.
So it's interesting you say that. Yeah, I think it's quite anecdotal because the other side of that really, if we're just talking about the Karen and the meat department, right? And literally today, we've just kicked 2 people off our platform with LeadZolo as well, just because they treated our employees like garbage.
Yeah.
But I think the initial stance needs to be, and this is my opinion, the initial stance needs to be compassion first, right?
Yeah. Well, try to understand their situation.
100%. Yeah. And I think a lot of people are just angry in general, and they can be disarmed so quickly by just a smiling face and like, what can I do for you? Because so few people in the world are willing to do that.
Yeah.
So I agree with your sentiment. I 100% agree with what you're saying, that my employees are always over our customers 100%. And even in that grocery situation, I think Jeff's point in that situation was that I immediately had my backup. And I know Jeff dealing with me was me just like looking at him like, she's a whatever, man. Like, I'm not dealing with that. And I'm going to like, no way am I losing my bonus to somebody being upset. And he was just like, you haven't even tried to de-escalate this. You haven't tried to do anything. So just go deal with it.
Which is a good point.
Yes. But I really appreciate your perspective too. Cause I certainly would never advocate to like, win the Karens, you win business. Cause I don't think that's true at all.
No, every time we have segmentation in our industries, in our business and in our avatars. And it's funny to me. Like I've seen this over and over again, whether as a realtor and you work with someone who wants to discount on their commission.
Yeah.
You do a wholesale deal where the margins are super tight, or you do any other business where they're like nickel and diming you. Like anyone that starts like nickel and diming you in the beginning, is never a good long-term
100%.
I can't remember a client was like, I'm not going to make that much money on this one. Like, but we'll make this work.
Yeah.
Where it was a pleasant experience.
There's
always a bad experience.
There's a great meme, comes from the agency world, like the retainer model world. And it was like typical $500 a month client. And it's like a screenshot of Slack. And it's like every day, like 4 times a day, like, how are my ads? What's the click-through rate? What's this? Versus a typical $5,000 a client, nothing. Once a quarter, they go, can you send me the invoice?
Right.
And it's so true, right? Like anybody who's nickel and diming, it's a pretty good tell up front that they're insecure and they're unhappy and whatever. They might not be right for a premium product.
Yeah, for sure. And so that's where you were going when you're saying like you could tell that she was trouble. So it was that. Got it. All right. And so you go down this journey. So like you make this decision to pivot. So like it sounded like when I started talking about it at boardroom. So again, like about this time last year, you were kind of like noodling on it. Is this something we should do? Is it something we shouldn't do? If we did it, would you guys receive value? And I've got some big news, and you'll want to hear all of this because I'm going to give you the best bonus ever at the end of this video. You all know that I've been providing sales training for 6 years now, and I've had the opportunity to train hundreds of the best teams in the country and thousands of individuals as well. And they've all had wild success along the way, some of which you've even seen on this podcast. You also know Ian Ross, who has been coaching alongside me now for over 2 years. He's the biggest sales geek ever, and he's been training business owners and individual contributors ever since he started working here. He even runs the Close More Sales podcast. But we had a problem. There was a lot of confusion. What is it exactly that we sell here? Is it Disruptors training? Is it Steve Trang training? Or is it Close More Sales training? It's none of those. It is objection-proof selling. Ian runs objection-proof selling for business owners and individuals. I run objection-proof selling for teams where I coach their entire team. And to celebrate the rebrand, I want to give you something that I never would have thought been possible until recently. We've been training this AI bot for over a year now to score all of our sales calls internally. Every call we run, we have the bot review the call to Ian and mine exact standards for sales. We run every one of our team members' calls through the same exact AI bot. And now we're giving it to you for free. This bot will review your calls based on dozens and dozens of metrics. It will tell you what you did well, what you can do better, again, by the standards of the objection-proof selling formula. And if you want to use our bot for free, just head over to our website, objectionproof.ai. Again, objectionproof.ai. I want to emphasize here, you're getting access to our bot, which allows you to get better at sales for free so that you can make even more money now without having to spend another dollar. Go check it out now.
Yes. So what we didn't want to do is discount the product.
Yeah.
And another side of that was like this reverse auction is like, it needs to be speed to lead. Like we don't want to put up leads on a marketplace that you can just like casually go, oh, Maricopa County, let's see what's happening today. Let's grab this bad boy. Because like they're going to be sending them for hours. And contact rate's going to be really low. And we're going to have a bunch of returns, which I don't really care about the returns. I care about the perception of our product. And so that was a little concerning. The reverse auction kind of helped that. The other side of it was the one-to-one compliance, because I think that hadn't come about yet. No. So one-to-one compliance was still real and on the radar, and we were spending a lot of money, a tremendous amount of money, figuring out the legality behind it, as well as the tech behind it. Like, how do we...
So before we get into that, right? Because I think a lot of us already forgotten what one-to-one compliance was.
It's so far gone in the past.
What is one-to-one compliance for those that don't know what you're talking about?
Yeah, so... plain and simple, what it's a law basically to help govern was potentially going to be a law to help govern regulated technology. So auto dialers and that kind of thing. It was never going to be an issue if you just like use your iPhone to call somebody.
Yeah.
So the problem would be, it's very common in some industries and practices to have a very lubricated funnel, like, hey, sign up here for your chance to win a $200 Amazon gift card. And then you have to sign up and fill out 37 forms about your life and your firstborn child. And then you maybe, 1 in 7 million get the $200 Amazon gift card. But what they're doing is databasing that. And what you've done is you've said, yes, you can contact me, and yes, you can sell my information. So that you can sell that database company now can sell you as a lead over and over and over again. And you have no recourse because you've given compliance. So one-to-one consent, basically what it was saying is if you get consent, so if you opt into my funnel and I say, check this box, if you give LeadZolo LLC or Drew Carrell express permission to contact you using regulated technology. If you say yes to that, I can now put your lead into... and I can't necessarily resell it, but I can put it into an auto dialer. I can put it into an AI follow-up sequence, for example, and that's fine. And so that's what one-to-one consent was trying to stop, was like, we don't want people to just like opt in, you sell that lead to anybody, they don't know who you even sold the lead to, and now they're using robo-dialers and AI technology, and you're getting 47 phone calls a day.
Right.
So that's what they're trying to stop, and the solution was like that dynamic placement on the form to be able to name the person you're selling the lead to in my specific situation.
Right. So you as LeadZolo, you have had to have identified who was going to buy the lead.
Correct. So for anybody who wants to nerd out on this a little bit, it's called a ping pick post is what we ended up developing. And so the idea would be at the beginning of the form, you would put in your address and then like, tell me details of the property, bop, bop, bop. By the time you got to the form where you filled out your name and phone number, I already knew who I was going to sell the lead to because I sell the lead based on your zip code. So I already knew that Steve Trang was going to buy this lead. So when you check the box, it's saying, yes, I'm giving permission for Steve Trang to call me. And so now I'm selling that directly to that customer. And so you're talking about marketplace where we're putting these overflow leads on, will be impossible to have one-to-one consent on them because I don't know who's going to buy them when they filled out the form.
Right. Oh, so that's a big deal.
Yes.
So All right. So now we talked about all that. So compliance, you had to go through what internally? You spent multiple six figures.
Well, yeah, we had to develop software. Like the ping pick post isn't super simple. We already, we're a lot of money in building our software to begin with because we built it from scratch because the only third party provider for what we wanted, we did not like. So we built this, and then we had to put like all of everything on pause, all of our features on pause, all this cool ideas we had for our software, all development paused for months for us to develop the ping pick post and to make sure that it was compliant. So now we're also paying 5-figure law firm bills because they have to review all of the development that's happening to make sure that everything's compliant. And it went a little nutty, but we were. Our whole perspective was we're going to be the best at this. We're going to own one-to-one consent. We're going to crush it. People are going to buy our software just to comply with one-to-one consent. Like that was the vision, right?
Makes total sense.
Yeah. Until, stimulation through deregulation happened and there was no more one-to-one consent.
Yeah. Why did it stop?
I think it was the administration. Like it was when
definitely a different administration.
Yeah. So
new administration, less regulatory than the other.
100%.
But was there like a specific thing? Was there a lobbyist firm?
I don't believe so. Like I know it's supposed to come out January 27th. It was just on the short list because when the Trump administration won the election, they paused like I don't know if it's all agencies, but most agencies that had pending laws to be coming out. Like everything was to be paused immediately to be reviewed because they were going to doge and review agencies to make sure that they needed it.
This falls under regulatory burden.
100%. Exactly.
Yeah. Yep. So I do like that part. What is it like, for every regulation we have to remove 2. So you pick which 2 you want to get rid of and then we can add 1.
Yeah. Like it stings, don't get me wrong, but I am so happy. Oh man. One-to-one consent would have been a huge pain just for the whole industry. Like it would have been a lot.
Yeah. Because even I know like I was talking to, Brian Driscoll when we were hanging out at CG, like he was talking about the same things.
Yeah.
Like, he's working on it and like, I mean, if he had any hair, he'd be losing it, right?
yeah. Well, I talked to Brian a lot too. We noodle on this.
Yeah. Okay. So, all right. So then what lessons did you learn, knowing what you know now? One-on-one consent on the rise, or on the horizon, what will you do differently?
I don't think I would do anything differently. I don't actually think it's on the horizon anymore.
No, but saying like, but let's say you were to come back, right? Because like you made a lot of changes. You had to pivot. Make business impacting decisions. I
think it's the same as like training for a marathon and then you failed at the marathon, right? You still came out of it fit, assuming you didn't like pull your Achilles or something doing running the marathon. Yeah. You still came out of it fit. You feel good about yourself. You feel good about the work you did, and like now you're just a little bit more prepared for the next thing. So that was it for. So yeah,
strengthen the organization.
100%. And we're definitely brand new to software, right? We had no freaking idea what we're doing. We just hired a developer and we're just like, we're just going to build the software. And it's just like the money kept piling up as it does. Yeah. But I feel really, really confident in the decisions we made. I know that we were making the right decision. We were making decisions that were going to empower our customers over P&L decisions. And that felt really good. And our entire team was on board with it. And they're still on board with it. And not on board with one-to-one consent, but on board with those types of decisions. And so I don't think I'd do anything differently. I think I liked it. I think we were super open about it at boardroom. Like we were asking everybody, like, what would you do here? We just wanted to know. And I think we made all the right decisions.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Okay. So that's figured out. So you build out the marketplace. So is the marketplace the software or are those 2 different things?
It's the same thing. It's a part of the software.
Okay. Yep. So then, you're developing software now, and then you're also like doing something else to increase the lifetime value of your clients.
Correct. So we'll start this one with another story, and then I'll jump into that. I went to Disney recently with my 5-year-old and my wife. It was super cool. I've never been. My wife has been, and her mom's been, and her mom was there as well. And it was an awesome experience. We went for a week, but it was 4 days at the park. And we got like the lightning pass for a couple of the days for just like the kingdom and something else. I don't know. And it was awesome. It was a lot of fun. We went, and it was interesting on the 3rd day we were there because we didn't have the lightning pass. And we're like standing in line. And we're like looking around and we're like pulling out the phone and there's 6 of us and it's just like, oh, it'd be $3,700 for us to get lightning passes. And it's 2 PM. And it's just like I guess we're going to do it. Like, what else are we going to do? That, or we're going to do one more ride today, right? So it was interesting. And then we came back and it was awesome. It was fun. So we run our personal finances kind of like a business. So it's 2 weeks after, and I get an impact filter put on my desk, a real like Dan Sullivan style impact filter from my wife, signed with her and Sophia, my 5-year-old, on the bottom. About how I would 5x their joy if we would have got the concierge package next time we went to Disney. And I was like, what is the concierge package?
Yeah.
Sure enough, my wife went and looked this up. So for $3,000 a day per person, I think it's like 30 something, and depending on the park, you get somebody who basically holds you by the hand, and you walk in and they go, what do you want to do? And so there's your line, right? So you go to Ratatouille. It was a 120-minute wait to get onto Ratatouille. Or if you paid for the Lightning line, it was 27 minutes. So at one point when we're standing in the 27-minute line, there were people that kept going up this other line and kept getting on the ride, and we had no idea. Like, who are these people? Well, that's the concierge. So the Lightning Pass is just like kind of what you hear about at the park. There's another level, right? Tony Robbins has gone to Disney. Do you think Tony Robbins is standing in a 120-minute line or a 27-minute line? No, right? He's got this big line. Kent Clothier mentioned this at Boardroom, this concierge package, right, that him and his family do. And I was thinking about it, I was like, Disney has this figured out, man. They have every single person figured out. Like, every single person from every walk of life is going to be happy when you go to Disney, regardless of your budget. They have the perfect thing for your budget, right? And they have the perfect upsells. They have the perfect tripwires. And it is so well thought through that when they build a ride like Ratatouille's budget was $300 million. Because they know exactly over the course of time how much money they're going to make on Ratatouille.
Yeah.
So
you're really selling this Ratatouille thing.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about it. Like,
it was such a cool ride. It was a really cool ride. But so then I started thinking about this too. And I'm just like, why do we even go to Disney? I'm like, well, we went to Disney for Sophia's 5th birthday because Daniela went to Disney for her 6th birthday. And Daniela went to Disney for her 6th birthday because Bonnie, Daniela's my wife, because Bonnie, her mother, went to Disney for her 10th birthday. So it was kind of a one-up contest. And this all started because Heather Watson, my wife's mother's mother, fell in love with Cinderella. So how much money has Disney made from getting Heather Watson into the movie theater to watch Cinderella, right? They'll get hundreds of thousands of dollars from me alone, and I'm at the end of this line. Well, I don't know. Maybe I'm in the middle of this line for all I know. So Disney understands, right? Disney understands that there are cohorts, and cohorts bleed into other cohorts. And as long as we can make people happy where they are at, as long as we can continue to make them happy there, and if they ascend or if they get more money or if their life circumstances change, we can still make them happy, then they're a customer for life. So all the way back. Start with the bid system. We really focused on kind of the mid-tier investor looking to grow their company. We then grew Marketplace to try and help the beginner investor get their first couple of assignment fees so that they could ascend into the bidding system. It also turned a cost into a profit for us with the overflow leads. And now what we've done is we've come out with Platinum. And so what Platinum we're doing is we're taking high-level investors, very limited seats. We're not saturating. We're giving exclusivity in certain markets and going, Steve, you want Maricopa County? We're going to make Maricopa County yours. We have tens of millions of dollars of testing. We know what ads work. So we're going to take these ads. We're going to take our actors. They're going to record ads like with our scripts, but tailored to your company with your branding, with your logos, with your colors. And we're going to run our media buying strategy for your brand on Meta and on YouTube. And retainer wise. So you're going to pay us a very low retainer. You're also going to pay the ad spend. And then on top of that, what we're going to do is typically when you run like a PPC campaign or something, 10% of leads that come in are out of area. So we'll just buy those leads from you because we can just go sell them through the PPL platform. So we just have this no-brainer offer where I don't have the data. We're just beta testing it. We're in our second month now, but it kind of looks like for any client who's spending like over $10,000 a month in ad spend, they'll basically more than cover our retainer just in us buying their overflow leads. So now we have the guys who are doing 100 flips a month covered. we've got the mid-tier investor covered, and we have the beginner tier investor covered. So regardless of where you're at in your business journey, we can be able to help, and we can help ascend you to the next part of your journey.
Got it.
Yeah.
So you found a catered solution. This is the concierge line.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And so again, what do they get?
Yeah, so it's full management. It's white glove management service. So managing YouTube, PPC, and Meta.
PPC as well.
PPC as well. I didn't mention that. I apologize. Yeah. We're scripting it. Our actors are recording it. Our editors are editing everything. It's all white glove service. We're looking after everything.
So if someone wanted to find out more about that, where would they go? They
would just go to LeadZolo.com, fill out an application.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, simple enough. So a couple different things. Yeah. The concierge service. So I got 3 daughters.
Yeah.
For the first one, when she turned 11.
Yeah.
Right? That's your wizard birthday.
Yep.
So we had to go to Universal Studios.
Of course.
In Southern California. I forget exactly what city it's in. Universal Studios, Hollywood, I guess. And then for the second kid, we went to Family Mastermind, right?
Yep.
And I went to ClickFunnels, Funnel Hacking Live.
Oh, in Florida.
Yep. Right?
Were you there when we all went to Harry Potter World?
I wasn't there. No, you went without me. Great.
It was just an inner circle thing, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I'm not in the platinum stage yet.
All right.
Yeah. I got to increase my budget with you guys. So, but my second child, when she turned 11, right before she turned 11, we went to Universal Studios Orlando. So this is right after Family, right after Funnel Hacking Live. Then we go to
incredible,
right, for her, and then the 8-year-old. My wife is not signed off on this plan, by the way. We got to do an impact filter. The 8-year-old, myself and the 2 older sisters have agreed when she turns 11 for her wizarding birthday, we're going to do Universal Studios in Japan because that's supposed to be the best Universal Studios.
Absolutely, I heard the same thing
in the world.
Yeah.
Right. So we're all agreed except for my wife. So we're going to do the impact filter.
Yep.
But for each one of those, you have, right, the regular park pass, right, which is entirely unacceptable.
Yep.
Right. And then you have the fast pass, right? You have you could just skip this other line, right?
Yep.
And then you have this third line, which is where we go through, which is you get to skip everybody.
Yeah.
Right. And they just walk you all the way to the front. And it's crazy. In some of the rides, you're not even walking by the people that pay more. You go through these back doors.
Yeah.
And then the door opens and then you're right in front of everybody. So at least they're not pissing people off.
Yeah.
Right. But it's just
well, then don't stand in the lightning line at Ratatouille because they'll piss you right off.
Yeah. So, but it was fascinating. Man, there's so many different levels. And even we went to Cancun, my wife and then her cousins, and they're basically sisters. And, we pay this ridiculous resort fee because it's all you can, it's not all you can eat per se. I mean, it is, but it's more leave everything in the hotel room. It's all covered, right?
Right.
Food, drinks, everything's covered, all that. And even though we paid, these stupid fees for all this, there's still this other line that I didn't know about. That you don't have to wait in line.
Yeah.
Right. So I feel I'm just one of the regular people. I have to wait in line for dinner. I have to make reservations. So even though I paid for this resort fee, I still have to I can't say my money's no good here because everyone else already paid, but it's there's this other express lane that you have to pay more to be in that express lane. And so, I think there's, you're absolutely onto something.
Yeah. Right? And the Ratatouille example, you have 120 minutes to sit there and wonder and look at these guys and go, geez.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember the very first time I experienced it still, right? It's a traumatic memory, I suppose, was Madame, what the heck is her name? Tussauds, right? It's the wax museum.
Oh, I don't know.
So I'm in London with my friends, and then we go to this wax museum. I think it's Madame Tussauds. I could be butchering the name. And there's this one line, and then there's the express line, and I'm poor, right? Because I'm in college.
Yeah.
And it was $35 for the express line. I was I can't
do it.
I can't do $35 for an express line, right? Even though I'm by myself, this is before wife and kids, I can't do $35.
Yeah.
I can't justify it for myself. As I'm watching this line, I just keep thinking, my line would be short if there weren't all these people cutting in front of me.
Right.
My line is only longer because they allowed everyone else
right
in front of me.
You're three from there, and then somebody else comes in, and then they go, and then the next person. It's just you still feel like you're a mile away.
Yeah. So traumatic memories.
Yeah.
Impact filter. I think this is definitely something worth talking about.
Sure.
So for people that are unfamiliar with Dan Sullivan and impact filter, because I think it's important, it's critical. What is an impact filter?
Sure. An impact filter, I have a really watered down version for us at home, but impact filter is really just, it's a full scope of a project, right? So I won't give the Disney example because it's silly, but if we're going to do a work project, I will, and even on a small level, we kind of do
I think
this.
we should go with the Disney example.
Yeah?
You said Sophia?
Sophia, yeah.
Let's hear Sophia's impact filter.
So what's important here is to understand an impact filter is like, this is what I want. This is what I want the end goal to be.
The initiative,
right? So the end goal is for Sophia and Daniela is they want to have the absolute best experience humanly possible at Disney in 3 days. And they do the in 3 days thing because that's a thing on me. Because like for me, it's like, oh, we want to do 7 days in Florida. And I'm like, 7 days? Like, can we do it in 3? So like, that's for me, right? So how to have the most joy possible. And then in traditional impact filter is, this is what that looks like, right? So it details out, specify
what success looks like.
Does success look like? Yes. Bop, 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 bop. So in a traditional impact filter, I believe there's like 10. You would write about up to 10 specific things as to what success looks like. You would write down what failure looks like, so you know when you failed, and then I think what consequences there are if you fail. So like, what is the burden if we don't get this to happen?
Yeah.
So
I think, and so Dan Sullivan, right, strategic coach. I went through his program back in 2018. Incredible program.
Yeah.
And yeah, we talk about like, here's what I want. Here's what success looks like. And then also like, what's the best that can happen?
Yeah.
If we execute this and crush it. What's the worst that can happen if we don't do this? And I think it's great because it communicates to the company, right? Here's the vision.
Yeah.
Pretty articulate, right? But the biggest thing is because Dan Sullivan's a dreamer.
Yeah.
Right? Like the guy's got ideas for days.
Forces the specificity.
Yeah. So for him, because he was always like giving ideas to his company and they would get frustrated. It's like, hey, you gave us this idea. And so we stopped everything and we worked on this. And then you said that wasn't even that important. That was just an idea. And like the other thing that was important to you, we didn't do it.
Yeah.
And you're upset at us because we didn't do it.
Yeah.
So he created it for himself, not for his company. Which is
interesting. So it was for him to anchor himself.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that.
Right. So like, I'm not allowed to tell my team this idea I have
until I fill this out.
Because if I'm unwilling to fill it out, it clearly isn't that important. So as an organization, for everyone that's watching this, right, that's like, if you're guilty of like vomiting ideas and like confusing your team, like, hey, what should I be working on? Because you're always dumping ideas on them.
Yeah.
Impact filter, it does two things. It prevents you from vomiting ideas.
Yeah.
And two, when you do give them ideas,
that's great.
Articulated.
I didn't know that was the inception of it. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
I also just recently heard a quote from Tim Ferriss, of all people. The universe punishes generalities and rewards specificity.
Yeah.
And so like Dan Sullivan normally, as per usual, way ahead of his time, right? Like he knew specificity is where it's at. That's so interesting. I really like that.
Yeah, I mean, he's great. Like when I went through his program, now, I think it's a great program. Most people ask me, when they've asked me about it, it's like, I think it's a fantastic program.
Yeah.
I was a little biased in that I already went through some other stuff beforehand. So I was like, this is cool.
What was that? Would you go beforehand?
I mean, I've been studying Darren Hardy forever. So like I went through his, what does he call it now? Business Mastery Today. But it was High Performance Forum back then.
Cool.
And so it was like 2.5 days, like 12,000 for 2.5 days. Just like listen to him and talk about just marketing and recruiting. It's all we talked about.
Wow.
Right? Marketing and recruiting for 2.5 days.
That's cool.
Right? I think it's 3 days now.
Yeah.
But he charges a lot less now. I was like, okay.
Really? Oh, I guess bigger audiences or whatever.
Audience,
yeah.
Right?
They have an institute in Toronto now.
What's that?
Like they have a whatever. They have there's a
strategic coach.
Yeah, strategic coach.
Well, that's where he's at.
Is it?
Yeah, I think he's Canadian because it was always like the option to go to Chicago, Toronto, or Santa Monica.
Interesting.
And I was like, I want Dan. It's like, well, you got to go to Toronto. I was like, I don't want to go to Toronto. It's a far flight from here, as you.
It is indeed.
You know.
I can attest.
Okay, so then I think there's a lot here. So we're talking about the lifetime value.
Yep.
Right. And so we're talking about the lifetime value, and the reason why I want to talk about the lifetime value is because we let off the title of the show is "Don't do this."
Yeah.
In a challenging market.
Yeah.
So now that we talked about the importance of a lifetime value, what should we not be doing?
My name is Lance McCann. I've recently switched sessions with Ian Ross. Those conversations with Ian has made me $50,000 in the past 2 deals that I've had. I was able to renegotiate, go back and renegotiate the original purchase price on one deal and I save $40,000, and I got another $10,000 off my other deals. Call Ian, give him a chance. You won't regret it.
If you like what you just heard and would like similar types of success, text CLOSE to 33777, and we'll see if you qualify to join Objection-Proof Selling. We're taking good sales reps and we're making them objection-proof.
Oh, man. And Kyle my business partner owned the YouTube ad agency.
Mm-hmm.
What a struggle. What a struggle. Because it was like, basically it was people that came into Russell Brunson's inner circle.
Mm-hmm.
So they have this product they made.
Mm-hmm.
They have this webinar funnel.
Mm-hmm.
And they come to an ad agency, and our job's to run ads. And every single moment of every single day, it is just a bloody argument and a back and forth of them going, I need a lower cost per lead. I need a cheaper cost per lead. I need a cheaper cost per click. Mm-hmm. And so every single one of them, in their mind, well, we have the product. We have the webinar that Russell told us to make. So now the only issue, the only lever in our entire business is how do we get cheaper leads? Mm-hmm. And it's like, the world doesn't work like that, guys. Like, guess what? Next year, when we're sitting here doing this podcast, the cost per marketing is going to be more expensive than it is this year. Mm-hmm. That's just the truth of the world. There's no more penny clicks on PPC or penny clicks on Facebook. Mm-hmm. It doesn't work that way. It gets more competitive and more expensive every single day. And so for us running that company, it was so hard. It was so hard because we're going like, there's only, oh man, there's so many niche markets and niche products. But anyways, there's only so many kids looking to learn Forex. Mm-hmm. Right? So you can't just like infinitely scale. I picked a very vanilla one here. There's only so much you can scale here, and it's highly competitive market. Mm-hmm. So
I know that.
You need to have the best product, the best offer, the best hook. Mm-hmm. And B, when you do get them in and sell them, you need to make more and more money off of the clients that you do sell to offset the marketing cost. Because if you think you're going to go marketing agency to marketing agency and get a cheaper cost per lead and a cheaper cost per lead, and that's how you're going to scale your company, you're going crazy.
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of an extreme example just in like webinar funnels, but I think that's what entrepreneurs think about a lot. Mm-hmm. I'm blessed to be in real estate and with real estate investors, and they're pretty educated, and they don't so much talk about cost per lead. They talk about ROI and conversion, which is great. But I still think there's a lot of people that get like really hung up on cost per lead, my cost per marketing, and all these things. And it's important, but I just don't think it's the biggest lever. I think the bigger lever is LTV. The bigger lever is the concierge package. Like, how many billions of dollars did Disney make the year they thought of that?
Right.
Like billions, right? Same with us, Marketplace. Marketplace makes about $7,000 a day for me, for our company. Like, it's not a little bit of money. Like it didn't take away from anything. It was a complete bolt add-on. So like, that's what people need to be thinking of. I think of Brandon Brittenham out of Boardroom. He owns Maryland. He owns Maryland. And the reason he owns Maryland is because he started as a realtor. He then learned wholesaling. And then he just like his eyes opened, right? So Brandon owns the retail side. He owns the investing side. He owns a construction company. He owns a title company. He owns a mortgage company. There's something else in there.
Hard money lending.
Hard money lending. So, thank you.
He's a client too, so.
There you go. So he's just like, there's nothing is too expensive for Brandon in the acquisitions world, right? He has multiple funnels, right? So he's got a funnel for off market. He's got a funnel for retail. He's got a funnel for lending. He's got a funnel for mortgage. And regardless of what funnel you come in, multiple of his businesses are going to profit from that. So when and he does everything, TV, radio, direct mail. So when somebody comes and buys a local TV spot and is an agent, he'll just walk into that local TV station and go, cancel that contract and I'll just pay you double whatever you paid them, whatever they paid you. Like, you just can't penetrate Maryland because you can't have a bigger LTV than Brandon because he owns every facet of the experience, the entire client journey he has. The entire ecosystem, yeah. Like, it's unreal.
Right. And also EXP.
Well, EXP helps, I guess.
Okay. I don't know. I'm saying like he's really monetized, like every part. Like you're talking about like every little edge.
Right. Well, yeah. We're just talking about that facing. Like, then he's a coach, and then he's got EXP, so he's got this huge downline. Yeah. He's now training agents how to become investors. He's he's board of directors of boardrooms, so he funnels people into boardroom. Like Brandon's funnel looks like Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi's funnel, right? Like there's no edge he doesn't have covered. It's beautiful. It's brilliant.
Right. So then we're talking about that. So then what is, and I bring this up because like I'm hearing people cutting back on marketing.
Yes.
But we just talk about like the lifetime value.
Right.
So
I think, the problem to me is the question I always bring up into that is why? Like, if you're having a business problem, you're going to start cutting expenses. Everybody does this. I do this. Everybody does this. But it's just like you're cutting the one thing that's feeding the whole ecosystem. Like, it seems backwards to me. I guess I'm always lost at like, what is then the plan? If you cut off your marketing, what are you going to do? Are you going back to cold calling yourself? Is that the idea? Is like, you're going to cut off marketing, you're going to fire your team, you're going to get rid of the office, back to mom's basement, and going to go to cold calling? Because that's literally the start of that path in my mind.
yeah,
Right? So I think
starving your company of revenue.
yeah, you're going to choke it out entirely. So what you need to do is increase revenue. And like that, you just need to get like violently aggressive about how do I increase revenue. Don't increase marketing until you figure that out, but you need lead flow to be able to figure it out. It's like, how do you train a salesperson? You got to invest in some sort of putting calls on their calendar. Well, unless you have this crazy cool AI software that they can train and
Right. Or AI bots, yeah.
AI bots, yeah. But to me, it's just crazy to me that any company would choke marketing as their first lever when they're going through a hard time. To me, it's like, let's improve the skills. Let's look at the sales team and make sure that they're smart and they know what they're doing. They know what they're selling. Let's look at our product. Let's look at our offer. And let's look at the 80-20 of our clients. Who's our most successful clients? And what is the next part of the journey we could own and help them with?
So a lot of people that are listening, a healthy percentage of our audience are real estate investors. So then when you say to them, like, hey, well, let's look at the lifetime value. Let's look how we can monetize in other ways. What suggestions do you have for those people?
I think you just need to look at Dispo, right? So if you're a straight wholesaler, like, don't choke marketing, learn something. Like, learn something, get uncomfortable, right? Learn, and I'm not the guy to teach this, but like, learn how to do innovation, learn the value of a buy and hold. And like, that's not going to help cover marketing expenses, but like, learn the cost seg game to offset your taxes this year by maybe doing some seller finance on a couple of properties this year. To me, it's about growing that. It's like, go get your real estate license. There's a novel idea to every wholesaler who's struggling right now and who's complaining that they have a 1 in 20 conversion rate on leads. Guess what? The other 19 people wanted retail. Imagine if you could have listed their house.
Or got a referral fee legally.
Or got a referral legally. Yes, 100%.
I emphasize legally because there are people that get referral fees, but it's technically not allowed to.
Yeah, the whole under the table, let me buy you your next 8 lunches. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, I think Dispo strategies, right? I think that's important. Yep. So I say, like, everyone that's watching right now, right? Like, go watch the Eric Brewer episode where we talk about innovations. Because you brought this up. Actually, you said, like, you didn't know, like, I was involved in getting
I had no idea.
To the market.
Yep.
Yeah. So I had Eric Brewer and we launched that product together.
Yeah.
Right. And then Installment Method, right? I'm consulting with those guys, right? Installment Method. Devin Robinson was on the show talking about, hey, regulations coming. You should probably learn installments.
Yeah.
Right. So we have that one. You got Eddie Speed, who's been here talking about, creative finance. You gotta say it that way when it's Eddie.
Finance, all right.
Creative finance. And then every episode of Pace Morby.
100%, right? And there's it's so funny. What I love about Pace is just how brilliantly simple everything about Pace is.
Yeah.
Not everything about Pace is, but like his whole strategy is just so simple and why everybody doesn't know. I don't know enough about it. I don't know everybody should be running around and subtoing every property they see, but like if that's not a tool in your back pocket, I think you're definitely losing out. Yeah.
So you look at that and then, the realtor route. So you think, we got a whole bunch of guys in early episodes back when they used to have realtors on the show and Matthew Potter, right? So we've had Matthew Potter on here a couple of times and I think the same thing, right? Like having a referral partner, he gets so many referrals from wholesalers.
Yeah.
Right. And they're either short sell deals or they're traditional listings. And either way, like he's paying them legally.
Yeah.
Right. Because like it's an actual enforceable agreement that you're going to pay me my 25%. He pays 30%, I believe. When this closes, you're going to pay me 30%.
Yeah.
Whatever your commission was.
Yeah.
And that's how you maximize the value. Maybe it's not increasing the lifetime value of a lead, but for sure increasing the value on average.
That's it. Yeah. And I think I think when I say lifetime value, I should probably define, I don't necessarily mean the typical ascension ladder where it's like sell them another product in digital marketing area. It definitely is a bit broadening, I think, in some ways. And I'm definitely a deep, not wide person, but I still think you're going deep as a real estate investor by learning other dispo strategies.
Yeah, I think you absolutely have to, right?
Yeah.
And then, when you get big enough, you talk about title companies. Right?
Absolutely.
You talk about hard money lending. One of the people that I admire the most, Stuart Daniel, who's on the show. Not a lot of people know who he is, right? His company does 15,000, 20,000 wholesale deals a year, whatever.
Cash.
Kind of low key. Right?
Cash. Yeah.
But we have him on the show and he's got national title company. He's got a national hard money lending organization.
Yeah.
Right? Like they're monetizing in every way, each deal.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just so smart. Like there's two huge levers in business, right? Cost per acquisition and LTV. And that's my whole soapbox right now. Is like you can either squeeze cost per acquisition or increase LTV. You can only squeeze. There's a joke that I'm not going to say. You can only squeeze your cost per acquisition so much.
Yeah.
LTV is absolutely infinite.
Yeah.
Absolutely infinite.
And maybe before it sticks in this conversation, maybe it's not LTV, maybe it's AOV, right? For us, right?
Absolutely.
Average order.
Yeah, absolutely. Right? Yes. Increase your wholesale fee.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. But not just increase your wholesale fee, but like if you blend in, the referral fees, you blend in whatever, like zero, anything more than zero increases value.
Yeah.
The average
absolutely.
value.
And we're doing this too, like just as another example for everybody, right? If you look at LeadZolo, cool, we do cool stuff. But we also have a wholesale company right here in Phoenix, right? It is a couple $1 million a year. We also, from that, we built our own software because we really hated the other solution. And we put a lot of investment in that. But now we're taking our first clients onto that software. So we're using LeadZolo as the case study of this software. And now we're selling the software. So it's not LTV per se, but we're using our current assets to build our next asset. So we're kind of stacking things,
right,
creating this ecosystem.
And then the other thing I want to talk about is, well, actually, before I get to this one, so we're done with like the inner circle. Like we're not servicing as an agency anymore. Those clients.
What do you mean?
Those clients that were always trying to beat you down.
We're over those guys.
Okay, all right. So now that we're in a safe space.
Okay, we want to talk smack. Is that what we're doing?
What would you say now if someone came into you and like, hey, you need to get my cost per acquisition down?
I would say you have a terrible product. If you're having an issue right now selling 4X to 20-year-olds, then your product sucks. And you need to go see what Ross Cameron's doing. You need to go see what WB Trading's doing. You need to go do what those guys are doing, because what they're doing is they're streaming online for 4 hours a day, putting in the work. They're carrying water and they're chopping wood. You're sitting on your ass with a funnel you built 3 years ago and thinking that it's a marketing agency's fault.
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
That's what you would say.
Yeah. Just, something like that.
Something along those lines.
Yeah.
Something you want to say, you finally got it off your chest.
Yeah. And that's the biggest thing too, right? Like there's just lazy and there's complacency and businesses just chopping wood and carrying water, man.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's, it's tough when like they're your client and you depend on them. Right?
100%.
You can't say those things.
Yeah, they're paying the bills.
Right.
Yeah.
But now when you're not depending on them, it's like, look, here's the problem.
Yeah.
So let's dive a little deeper into that, right? So carrying water, chopping wood. So that is a very simple principle, but for those that haven't heard it, you elaborate on it?
Yeah, you just got to do the work. People think there's an easy button, right? It's the whole, it takes 20 years to become an overnight success, right? It literally, truly, and honestly does. We're talking, I don't think we'd started the show yet, but we're talking about travel, right? Like travel is a huge drain. I'm here doing a podcast, right? I left my family for the week. I had another engagement on the weekend as well. I had a leadership retreat. I had all of this stuff. Like I have to make, people call them sacrifices. I don't call them sacrifices. I call them trades, right? You have to make trades and you have to put in the work. And so like, I have a beautiful 5-year-old and I could have a 9 to 5 and I could see her every morning and every night and every single weekend. But I make trades where I come down here and I do this stuff because I need to build my business. And it's important to me to build my business because whatever, there's an asymmetric trade that I make there where I spend more one-on-one time with her in smaller chunks and more condensed time. And so I'm willing to do that. But I think that a lot of people just want to go, oh, Russell Brunson has a webinar funnel and it converts at 5% and I'm just going to sell stupid shovels because off this webinar and it didn't work and now I'm pissed off. And it's just like, well, you know what you should probably do is go find everybody trying to dig a hole and you should put in a year You should go work at a grocery store for a year, and in every moment you have that you're not working in that grocery store, you interview every single person you see digging a hole. And by the end of that year, you might have an idea of what a shovel actually is and what they're looking for in a shovel and how they speak, how they talk, like what they refer to as the shovel. Is it a spade? Is it a snow shovel? What is it, right? And then after that year, put together some sort of something, right? Put together something that you want to bring to market, an idea, a concept, a marketing message, should it be? And then bring it to the market and expect to fail. And look to fail quick. Just look to fail quick. It is going to happen, right? As entrepreneurs, what we learn, whether it's consciously or subconsciously, is that we know we're going to fail more times than we're going to win. But every single time we win, it's going to be a grand slam, right? So just hurry the hell up and get strucken out, right? Like fail until you hit it. And I think that there's too many people that just aren't willing to do that.
Yeah.
And so you need to get up. You need to have a timer on your desk. You need to do the 2 hours of deep work before your 10 o'clock calls. I guess I'm talking about myself here personally, right? Like I need to shut off all distractions from 8 till 10. And then from 10 till 2, I'm just blocks of meetings. And then from 2 till 5, I have to have deep work again. And then I can go for my run after that. And that's how I do. I reward myself with like a run or working out or lifting weights or something. But I just have to chop the wood and carry the water, or you're just going to sit there and spin your wheels. You're going to watch YouTube videos. You're going to think that I need to watch the 37th hour of a sales training before ever talking to somebody on the phone. And I just think that too many people are lost in that trap.
Yeah. I think there's a couple of different things here. First, you got to put in the work. So like people don't really see it. Right? We launched an AI product, right? It's doing phenomenally well. Actually, I'm kind of scared how well it's doing.
Hey, Steve, how easy is it to upload a whole bunch of files into your software? How easy was it to develop that feature?
Well, easy enough. Easy enough. But what they don't see is I'm operating, and I've shared this with my team. I told them, like, the reason why you get updates from me at midnight on a Sunday night, and like throughout the week, is because that's when I'm putting in the work.
Yeah. Right?
Like, they don't see... Like no one gets to see the work, right? You put into it. They can see the output, right? But they don't get to see the work.
Yep.
Like I'm doing like 8. It's not 9 to 5. Like 8 to 6. Steve is like still doing this thing here.
Yeah.
And then like 9 to midnight. Steve is building all the AI stuff.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm proud of what we've been able to put out, but people don't see that work, right? They just see like, oh, hey, he's got a new product.
Right. Just super whisper and decursor and it's just, you just vibe code for a couple hours and
that's it. Just vibe code is easy, right? Like I am so thankful that I used to code for a living.
Yeah, I bet. I bet.
So thankful.
Full circle, right?
Full circle, right? Because like there have been a handful of times where like AI is just making things up because it hallucinates.
Yeah.
Right. And it just gives you code. That's like, this doesn't make any sense.
What is
and
this?
It's not working, right? And like I actually have to go like line by line. It's like, okay, why is this wrong? I don't know why it's wrong.
Yeah.
But this is the part that's wrong, so I can fix that. So fortunately, I've been able to fix that, from my coding background. The other thing you mentioned, maybe your product just sucks.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
So I got someone I look up to. He does phenomenally well at marketing, and something he rants on every once in a while is like, if you guys would put as much effort into your product as you would your marketing, imagine the success you would have.
Absolutely. Hands down.
Yeah.
And I like nothing's truer than that. Look at Tesla, right? Like
zero marketing.
I think they do now, but like, do they? I don't know.
I don't think
maybe I don't. I guess it was a Starlink thing that I saw. No,
Starlink.
I saw a Tesla Powerbox YouTube ad yesterday. Yeah. But exactly.
Starlink ads on X. The only marketing he has is he just. He got to spend a lot of time in front of the Oval Office.
Well, and he spent a couple bucks buying a few eyeballs on X or Twitter.
Yeah, $44 billion or whatever he spent on X. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's like I think those things are just so overlooked, right? Look at what Bezos did with shipping, right? Like Bezos. Well, I don't know if I talked about this last time on your podcast or it was a different podcast, so I apologize if everybody's heard this before. But when they went to free shipping, the Bezos looked, and at the time they're spending I don't know if it's $12 million a year or $12 million a month on marketing. And they saw that their shipping costs, what they were collecting in shipping fees, was exactly the same as their marketing fee, what they're spending in marketing. So he shut off all marketing immediately and went to free shipping immediately. And the company grew exponentially. And so it's like the best marketing that they ever did was shutting off marketing and just improving their product.
Yeah.
And it was a knock at the park. Tesla's doing that. Like we know that, especially in our industry, like, oh my gosh, it's all word of mouth. It's all everything. And you just have to focus on your product.
Yeah.
And the marketing comes easy. If the marketing's hard, it's typically because your product sucks.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, you should have a brand.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful for all the work I put in over the years to build my brand. So then, where was I going with this? So the other thing, then the last thing we're talking about, as far as lifetime value, cost of marketing is not going down anytime in the near future.
Death, taxes, and cost per marketing will always be rising.
It is only going up.
Yep.
And so it's even more critical to figure out ways to monetize your marketing.
Yep.
And it's I think, you talk about marketing, you talk about operations, but I think that this is a trend. Here's a pattern. I'll go with this direction. So Stephanie Better is a great friend, right? Left Main REI. She was actually the first person who inspired me to go down this AI path.
Cool.
We were lamenting. I won't say complaining.
Yeah.
We were lamenting. It is impossible to communicate with our customers, right?
Yes.
Because our clients, our operators, they're busy. They're doing deals. They're putting out fires, right?
Yes.
So it's impossible to get in by email, maybe text message, right? Facebook, you're getting drowned in the algorithm. Instagram, you're getting drowned in the algorithm, right? I used to get like tens of thousands of views on Instagram.
Yep.
Right? Now I get like 2,000. That's a win.
Yep.
Right? So it's nearly impossible, even organically, to get in front of our audience, right? And these are people we already paid for.
Yeah.
Right? So it's even hard to get in front of them with paid marketing. So it's hard to get in front of them with paid marketing. It's hard to get in front of them even with organic marketing. Not even organic marketing, organic messaging.
Yep.
What are you guys doing to make sure all your clients know what services you're offering?
Yeah. Great question. Mr. Beast's comment, there's like a React video or something somewhere of Mr. Beast reacting to Gary Vaynerchuk. And it's the typical Gary V, right? Like, put out 78 pieces of content a day and like your brand will take off, no problem.
There was a time where that was true.
Absolutely. And that was exactly his point, was just like, maybe that's used to be true, but he's like,
that was true for me at 18.
Yeah, exactly. Where Mr. Beast's perspective is like, now he goes, I know I need to put about $5 million into a single piece of content if I have any expectation of it going viral. The product, it has to be so good and so impactful. So yeah, so that we kind of have that frame a little bit where like, of course we have a daily email that goes out and it's typically marketing and all this kind of crap.
Yeah.
But when we have something that's like really, really important, so marketplace or platinum. So platinum, we're kind of slow rolling because we're beta testing with 25 clients to start. But 6 a.m. this morning, we were on a call, well, 6 a.m. Phoenix time. We were on a call with one of the largest coaching programs that we're affiliated with, educating their entire team on platinum. We'll be doing the same with 2 other coaching programs next week and then 2 other coaching programs the week after that. So what we're doing is we're really making sure that everybody who talks about us, where we're prevalent in coaching programs, that the programs are very, very, very well aware of this new feature, this new thing that we're coming in with platinum. So that when we start to market it, they're educated and everybody can talk about it intelligently. And it's not like what was that? It wasn't a fly by the night. So we're tackling it that way. Aside from that, like it's just hard, right? So we have internal app. So in our app now with our software, it's very handy. So we can push through notifications. We can banner notifications. We have chatbot notifications and then emails. And then we doubled down on customer support last year. We have a bigger customer support team than it's our biggest department. And we just personally call people. Like we don't know. That's just what we do.
Yeah. Well, that's where I'm at now. I'm like, I think I just need to hire a person who just calls our clients and just talks to them.
And we even we went down, oh my God, Just Call and all these stupid virtual stuff. We literally just bought our whole team iPhones and just mailed them to everybody. And it was just like, just text and call people like normal humans, because like this whole marketing and Close.io and all these flows and stuff, like nobody opens this shit. Everything's flagged as spam and whatever. So yeah, it's just like, we're doing that. I'll drop it here. I don't know when this podcast drops. It doesn't matter, but we're going to do a big direct mail campaign. Like we're going old school. I'm going to go door knocking at one point.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like this is the world we're in. And by the way, right, like I'm excited about our AI tool, right? Our outbound agents, our outbound AI tool should be up and running in about 4 weeks from today.
Yeah.
And it's going to be this narrow time where it's going to be effective.
Right.
And then they're not even going to answer those calls anymore either.
Absolutely.
Right. So like we want to be first to market, and we want to like just like totally like ruin like phone call experience for everyone else.
Sure. You want to disrupt?
Yeah, disrupt. And then eventually like that's not going to work either. But there's going to be like, a 6-month window.
Absolutely.
Where it's going to work really well.
Well, and then you're just going to be ahead of the curve, right? Because then it's going to be a problem, and then you're going to be the first to be solving the next problem.
That's what I'm excited about, yeah.
Yeah, and like that's what you're talking about, like the one-to-one consent and what we learned. Like that's what we learned, is that we're good at this shit. And so we're going to be the first to solve the next regulatory problem that comes up. And we feel very confident in our law team and like all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, exactly what you're talking about is, yep, we know it's coming, but we're training for the marathon, not to beat the marathon on the weekend. We're training for the marathon. We're training to be athletes, to be able to, run the next 10 races.
Yeah. All right. So you are running into the same problem, and you're solving the problem.
Oh my gosh. It's ridiculous. Like, I don't even know, like, do we carrier pigeon to people? Like, but it's information overload. I'm like that. Like, I don't do social media. Like, I brought a book here because I knew that I'm here an hour early. Like, I just read a book in the side room because, like, I made the mistake of answering my phone last night from an unknown number for the first time, and it was a very bad experience.
You bought something?
No, no, it doesn't matter. It was some person from high school that I haven't talked to in 20 years. And I'm just like, why? This is why I don't do this.
Yeah.
You ruined it.
Are you like Brian? You have a flip phone?
I should. Oh my gosh, that's a brilliant idea. I would love that. I even tried doing like the grayscale, but I couldn't even read a text from my wife. But
yeah. I know he talked about he got a flip phone just so he can't browse.
I love it. I love that. I love that idea. Phone. But yeah, like I'm impossible to get a hold of.
Right. So like, let's say I'm trying to like convey to you, I've got this new AI offer.
Right.
You don't even know that I have it.
Right.
How do I get it in front of you?
Yeah. Through our relationship.
Yeah.
Right. Like how long did it take me to text you back the other day? Like a day, probably. I text you back. Like I don't text most people back. Right. Like, and I only do out of respect for a relationship. So maybe that's the answer. Right. Like, and maybe that's why we're doing so well with building our customer support team, is that we literally have somebody on our team, and she's a life coach, and she's a rock star life coach. And we had to pay her way too much money to come onto the team. But the reason is when she gets on with a client, she's 90 minutes plus. And I can tell you those clients never leave because they just love Michelle so much. And maybe that's the answer. It's the relationship thing.
Yeah. Well, we're on the verge of hiring somebody. And and like the key qualification is, are you a person that they want to answer the phone?
Right.
When you call. Right. Because look, you will probably pick up the phone when I call.
When you call?
Yeah. You'll probably pick up the phone. But I'm not like this heartwarming, cheerful, super excited to hear from me. Right.
I don't know if that's true though, because I hold you in a high regard in that you're an entrepreneur, and we're pretty well, like we're in the same bracket, right? Like I don't answer my brother when he calls me on a regular basis. And it's like, I love my brother, but like sometimes it's like he's going to ask me to go to a barbecue that I'm going to say no to. Like there's not going to be a lot of fruitful conversation there all the time. And there's times when I love to go talk to my brother, but like, I don't know. I think it's about where you hold people. I think it's about your perception of value of people.
Right.
And I hold you as a valuable person.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
But for me as a business owner, also, like I need to not be the one that's making those phone calls.
100%. Yeah. And if it was your assistant, I would have a lot of pause.
Right.
Yeah.
So we tried that. We went that route.
Yeah.
Right. Or my assistant was texting everyone.
Right.
Right. From my phone number. And even then it was like sporadic responses. Like,
well, they get markety so quick.
Yeah.
You would just know so quick.
Yeah. So you just have to have, because we're writing a universal message, right? Like, all right, here's the message to send everybody. So that's not effective. So yeah, we're going to have someone who is like, is so pleasant that people are happy to talk to.
Or just make your product 6 figures a month and just sell it to your friends.
And what?
Just sell it to your friends. And it's real easy.
Well, it's really easy because they still don't know what our newest offerings are, right? Like, the number of people, like, I posted something on Facebook yesterday. No, it was a few days ago, but it was still getting engagement yesterday. And the guy's like, his response was like, well, does your tool only work for the Sandler method? Right? And I was like, my response was like, that was an interesting question. It sounds like you think I only use Sandler.
Right.
Right. And he's like, so then are you thinking it works all of them? It's like, just go here and try it out yourself for free.
Right. Well,
and he didn't know we had that tool for free. And it's like, it's aggravating because we posted it on Facebook. I announced it at the beginning of every show.
Yeah.
On other podcasts. I was on your podcast. I talked about it.
Yep.
And it's still hard to penetrate.
It's tough because, especially in what you're doing and most people are doing, like you're creating something people don't know they need. Right. So even when we were talking in our C-suite call about your software and Kyle goes, isn't it for training wholesalers? And it's just like, and then like Cody pitched it, of course. Right.
Yeah.
And it's just like, no, it's not. But like, I can see, of course, why he would have that impression.
It's a fair assumption.
Right.
Right.
So, but okay, here's another side. If my assistant texts your personal phone and was just like, hey, Drew wanted me to send you this book. It's how to recover from an Achilles tear in less than 3 weeks. You would answer that.
Would I answer it?
Maybe. It's very, I mean, it's super relevant to you right now, right?
It is, yeah. But probably my assistant would respond to it.
Fair enough. It would get responded to.
100% would get responded to. Right?
True.
100% would get responded to. She would bring it to my attention. So she'll probably respond.
Right.
And bring it to my attention. And then if necessary, there'll be a secondary response.
Right. But I think the messaging is key, is finding people where they're at. Like if I messaged Kent and said, hey, Kent, I've got 4 leads in San Diego that are for $35 that have been on Marketplace for the last 20 hours. Do you want to scoop them up? Kent's not going to answer that. What does Kent care about 3 old leads in San Diego?
Right.
But if I went to Kent and was like, hey, I'm going to beta test Platinum. I want to brand your 100 flip a month company entirely. We're going to do this. I'm going to send actors out and filming with your team. It's all looked after. You don't have anything to do with it. We've already talked to SEMA. Kent's going to respond with a thumbs up. Right? So I don't know. It's just a tough question. I guess I'm just riffing here, but
yeah. Well, I mean, and I'm just bringing it because we're just talking about marketing. Right?
Yeah.
This isn't marketing, but it's messaging, which is pretty closely related.
Right. Yeah, I think messaging's where it's at. And it's a tough world. Man, is it a tough world.
Gotcha. So any last thoughts you want to leave all the listeners with?
I just think that through the lens of business in general, people need to look at their business the same way they look at their personal life. Like you need to look after it. You need to nurture it. You need to take time. You need to have patience, right? I look at, I just had this conversation this morning with somebody on my leadership team, and she was just really frustrated because she was just like, I've told this person the same thing 4 times in a row. And the person she's complaining about is a great employee, right? She's complaining anecdotally about a situation. And I was like, well, how many times did you tell I'm not going to say the name, your 2-year-old not to crawl out of his crib in the middle of the night? And she's like, well, I do it every night. I'm like, well, are you upset with him? She's like, no. And it's like, you have the patience, right? Like building a business, I think we spend too much time in social media watching all these big gurus try and sell this dream and overcomplicate things and things like that. And at the end of the day, I look at building a business like building a family. And when I'm growing a family, and every time I hire somebody, I think to myself, I'm going to talk to this person more than I'm going to talk to my wife. So I need to like them. I need to invest in our relationship, and I need to understand it's going to take time. My best closer was not the best closer in the first 6 months he worked for us. It took over a year before he became the best closer. And now not only is he the best, he will never leave. I could not pay him for a month and he wouldn't leave, right? Because we built this up. So I think people need to spend way more time understanding that this is something that a business is something that grows over time and is organic and something you need to fall in love with. And if you just think you're going to put a few extra $100,000 in your bank account by the end of the month because you just took a course, then you're chasing the wrong thing. And for serious business owners, seriously, look at lifetime value. And I'm not saying cost per acquisition isn't important. I'm not saying cost per click isn't important and conversion rates aren't important. And there are shitty agencies and shitty lead providers out there. Look at that. You need to be aware of that, but you also need to look at yourself first, right? And what are your disposition strategies? What's your LTV? What is your plan in 10 years? What is going to be different? And also in 10 years, what is going to be the same in your industry, and just always look at that 10-year vision.
Yeah, perfect. All right. And then if someone wants to, again, connect with you, what's the best way?
LeadZolo.com.
Simple.
That's it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys next time.
Shout out to Steve Train. Jump on the Steve Train. Disruptors.